tower because it's too close to an active well.
But that was after the trees were already marked and graded and sold. That's when they found out. After the contract, after the money, and after the timber was marked, then they found out that it was too close to a well.
No, then they listened to you, that was too close to the
Can I throw in one more thing? I don't know if you've used up my 3-minute time or not. All right, I'll take this. All right. I guess I'll just be here for an hour. Yeah. So aside from like the Met Towers and all that, there's also provisions in there that they have to go to other agencies to go get basically permission to do that. So it really, really protects that area. I was going to throw in one more thing, and I can't remember what it was for the life of me. There's with the fire and safety and everything like that, there's provisions in there that they have to fund or reimburse on that for training, for equipment. I don't know how you would extract anyone off the 600 or 700 foot wind turbine if there was a fire below and they can't get down. I don't know if you would have like a helicopter that goes in or what. I'm sure they probably have an answer to it, I would assume. There's been occurrences of that happening in some other countries. The other thing too is if they were to fall down and damage property, or you have things called ice throw in the wintertime, they'll build up with ice on the blades and sling it all over the place. If it's too close to a road, they could damage a car. There's also things in there that they would be liable for those charges. Think of what else is in here. The other thing too I want to throw out there is there's the interconnection request for one of these companies goes into the Homer City to Pierce Brook, and it goes into the Pierce Brook interconnect, and that power will then go to New York State. Okay, so there's no benefit here to what we're in the power grid of the PJM. So they're going to develop energy, and it doesn't even benefit us at all. And even if it did benefit us, then there could be a data center that gets put in where the power goes to, and then your electric bill gets raised. Especially because it's quote unquote green energy or clean energy, which is total BS, right? And I'll give you a little bit of background of like where I come from. So I used to work at a lot of coal-fired power plants, a lot of paper mills, a lot of boiler work. I've been in many different countries, all over the U.S., all over Canada, Central America, all over the place. And there's one place in particular that comes to mind is Boardman, Oregon. I was working at the last coal-fired power plant there. This is probably in like 2011 or so. And on the way in, there's a huge wind farm that was being built with GE turbines. And I was talking with the project manager there, and he was telling me, because this is whenever green energy was coming in, and we're kind of curious as to like, do these wind turbines actually work? And the guy laughed, and he said these wind turbines, without government subsidies, without tax breaks, they wouldn't pay themselves off in over 500 years. So our tax credits go, the US taxpayers are funding these companies that use mostly foreign money to fund the project, and then they get the tax credits, and they get the US tax dollars that go back to the investors. So why are foreign companies coming in here, right, and funding these projects that go into our community, into our homes? I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And aside from that, it doesn't benefit us at all. So at least there's provisions in here that protects us in the event that they do decide to put them in.
Anyone else?
What's the lifespan of those windows?
Depending on what you read, 20 to 25 years. Anyone else?
What's the incident rate with, as far as any, flood spills, fires, just falling apart in general, things like that?
I don't know of exact percentages, just what I've read, but I don't know that there's any percentage. It lists certain.
I guess how reliable are, how mechanically sound are they? I guess is the question.
As far as how mechanically sound they are, nobody up here is able to really answer that. That's why we have provisions in the ordinance that says that we would utilize third-party engineers or hire engineers to be able to provide that type of information. To include acoustics and things like that, nobody up here is able to really do sound tests, soil perk tests, things like that. That's why there is provisions within the ordinance that would allow us to have third-party experts to do that type of stuff.
Will the windmill project provide the funds for those tests?
If, as the current drafted ordinance stands, if it's voted on in the current verbiage, then yes. I think this gentleman there is standing.
Just a little bit of tidbit. Back in 1997, the Halloran family bought the Kendall refinery and all the property that went with it, the production land. Harry Halloran, who owned 400 windmills in the San Joaquin Valley in California. So as he's seen all that land, he's like, this is great. I can put windmills here on our property. He did a survey at the Bradford Airport and said that there's not enough sustained wind to justify windmills in this area. Also, he said the biggest problem with the windmills is the gearboxes, the stress and the strain on the gearboxes. He told our R&D lab to come up with the oil that it would not shear the gearboxes. Guess what? Didn't do it. I think we should all give the news media here a hand for everything they put in the paper to keep the public informed of what's going on.
Can I ask another question? What are they figuring to do with all the waste and stuff that goes to trash?
So if the ordinance passes, they'll have to be disposed of in a commercially viable way. And that would not include, if I remember correctly, burying them on site. They'd have to be hauled away, recycled if possible, and my understanding is, again, I'm not an expert on these things, my understanding is, they're huge, and they're made out of fiberglass, and,
Glass and aluminum,
pretty much, yeah.
and there's no way to dispose of them.
I wouldn't say there's no way, but I would imagine it's possible.
Only two ways I've heard of is grinding them up and putting concrete or asphalt.
Does anyone else have a public comment?
You got two things. Number one, you gotta protect the taxpayer. But number one, you've gotta protect the landowner themselves. You cannot write something that is gonna tell somebody they can't do something on their land that is not reasonable. So you gotta play one side against the other. And in our meeting, the guy got up and said to me, there is more neighbors than there is landowners. I said, you may be right, but we still gotta treat everybody the same.
Anyone else?
I'd like to ask everyone in here, is there anyone in here by show of hands that is not for this wind ordinance? One. Two.
You guys don't count, you didn't clap for anybody.
Answer the experts and that's mentioned anybody.
I thought maybe you were ready to hold me.
All right. Last chance, anyone have a final comment? Sir?
Is there anybody in here that wants to see the windmills go forward?
Now,
Somewhere else. Somewhere else.
Are there any other comments on the wind ordinance? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.